Hello, dear friends. I want to tell you something. It is about our habit. In our life, we come across many situations, many persons, many incidents. For not all the time, we keep calm. Many of the times, we become angry and we quarrel, of course. There are many quarrels in the life which of course spoil the life, no doubt about that. But one thing is common in these quarrels that if two persons are quarreling, one make some arguments, one make some statement which ultimately hurts the other, and the other get feeling, even though it is a wrong feeling, but the other person gets a feeling that the opposite side or the opposite person who is speaking in an angry mood is saying very bad things. As on the spur of the moment, these two persons fight with each other and they use very bad language, vulgar language. Both of them don't know. Both of them don't know what will happen in the future. When a person between these two persons goes ahead in his life and faces some trouble or has a continuous chain of troubles, it is a cycle of destiny, you may say. He remembers one thing, that before a few years that person said this, and that is why it is happening in my life. This thought goes deep into his head or her head, as the case may be. And the person thinks that it should not be so, what it is. If that person did not say like this thing would not have happened in my life. But friends, this is not so. This is not so. This is wrong. In fact, the opposite person who was speaking in some angry mood was suggesting something. Even he did not know at the time of quarrel that something was being suggested to the other person, that in the future he will be into the trouble, what the person has said. And the person who said something wrong, it may be, it seemed at that time that it was wrong, particularly to the opposite person who got hurt. He felt that it is absolutely wrong and he has done something wrong to me. That is why I have to face these things after many years. But it was an information given by this universe or the universal tendencies, or you may say from God or from nature. There is a system in this nature or universe that it suggests through somebody. So it suggests, but the person who is in the receiving mode or in the receiving end does not feel or does not think in this way. In fact, it is up to him how he feels, how he takes the situation. The person who is abusing is in abusing mode, no doubt about that, and he is speaking, he is abusing in his mode of quarrel, and he or she is in the mode of fighting. So maybe he or she was not balanced at that time, but what the suggestion was right. The suggestion was right, but the receiving person did not acknowledge at that time, and even after many years when he is suffering and getting into worse situations, because very similar to the person who abused him or her, and he automatically blames the abusing person that because of him he has to face this situation. The calamities which are coming one after another in his life are because of that person who abused few years back. In fact, he was right. The abusing person was right, and even in that angry mood, he spoke very sensibly and very correct, that the opposite person who was listening at that time will get some punishment or some bad days in future, though may not happen exactly, but kind of these things happen in the life. They are worse in the life, and ultimately the receiving person has to go in a bad times. But if he thought at the time of fight, at the time of quarrel, that the other person who is abusing is right, even after the fight, when he becomes sensible, or when he balanced himself, he should have thought that the person who has abused me in those words, his words may come true in the future. It may be a warning, it may be a suggestion to me, and I must change my style of living, my way of thinking, and I must be calm, I must be happy, and I must be prepared. I will prepare myself to face any calamity, any difficulty, if it comes now or in the future. That was so simple. But with a hot head, the receiving person never acknowledge, never thinks that this will happen in the future. And this is a suggestion from the God or from the destiny or from the universe. And that's why we come into trouble in the future. Always remember, if you fight with somebody and he abuses you in a harsh words or wrong words even, but what he speaks You have to gather each and every word of that and think properly and think in a positive mode that I must check myself. If he is abusing me, then it seems that I am walking on a wrong foot. I am walking on a wrong path. I must change my direction. I must change my way of thinking, walking, and I must prepare myself. I must become strong instead of going into the depression and blaming the other person. In fact, he must thank the other person for pointing out a probable problem in the future. Isn't it? Please let me know what do you think. Okay? Thank you. Namaste.